Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the Edge DFS. We're doing Showdown, Broncos versus Chiefs, Sunday Night Football. My name is Tyson Smith, joined by Ellie Hernandez. What's going on, man? Saturday night. It's about 8:15 in LA. You're rocking around 11:15 on your side of the world. What's going on, man? What are you up to? You watching some MMA? You watching some fights right now?
I am, man. I'll tell you what, man. I got really into UFC and MMA during the COVID lockdowns where there were just no sports going on.
Yeah.
Like, I respect to Dana White and the UFC for coming up with a plan, buying an island, and then just not letting anybody fucking near their fighters, right?
Yeah.
Like, and dude, like, it's fun. I've learned a lot from playing MMA, but you know, we'll get into that some other time. That's not tonight, but yeah, man, how you doing?
Hey, not bad, dude, not bad. And to add to your point with the MMA, like that actually really taught me playing MMA taught me how to play DFS a lot better, especially with Showdown. It's very similar. Like, you're using leverage. It's a lot of randomness. Like, anybody can win. It really helped me. I didn't even know who these guys were. I was just using some metrics. I was using some ownership. I really looked at DraftKings Sportsbook for first round knockout odds, that kind of thing, and I used that, and I was actually pretty successful with MMA, even though I didn't even know who the fuck these dudes were. It was pretty interesting.
And just if you follow us on Twitter, you probably saw my call out. But this dude Pete the Heat on Twitter, he makes this this heat sheet that he uses for all his slates, and he has a Patreon that you can go and get some exclusive information and access to. But I tell you what, like, if I didn't have that, I don't think I'd be as into UFC because the kind of the information you get in there is just it's so much more detailed than you can get from just raw projection. Maybe one of these days we'll do an MMA show. I know we were thinking about.
We were trying to. It didn't work out this week.
It's been crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and we got to get ready for 17 Monday night games. So,
I know, dude. I know. So, by the way, when it comes to that, we're gonna do the main. Bills versus 49ers on Monday night. And then we're gonna do a couple.
The one that everyone gives a shit about.
Yeah, and then we're gonna do a couple quick slant episodes. These are the 15-minute or less breakdowns for the other two games. So stay tuned for that. If you guys wouldn't mind throwing us a like right now, we'd really appreciate it. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's get into this show, man. So we're talking Broncos versus Chiefs. The Broncos actually have a quarterback. They probably have multiple quarterbacks now for this week. Not that any of them are possibly going to be worth playing, but at least they have an NFL football team to compete with the Chiefs, who in my opinion are by far the best team in the NFL. The Steelers, to me, aren't really cutting it. You have the best quarterback in the NFL with Patrick Mahomes, and you have the most dynamic offense. Let's get into this Vegas line here. This is going to be potentially another blowout. It's not every day you see a 13.5 spread. This is a 50.5 total, and the Kansas City Chiefs are minus 985. That's insane, man. That's like I say all the time. This is like esports. This is League of Legends over quarantine right now, except without the corruptness to it. 90% win probability, 32 implied total, and look at that ownership. I mean, that's the biggest gap I think I've ever seen. 360 to 230. That's just insane. What are your thoughts on this? You have KC. I don't think there's any doubt that KC is going to win this game and they're going to win it easy. The question here is, how do we actually build a team? We have to roster one player from Denver at least. How do we build a team this week? And where do you think this lies? Do you think the total for Denver is gonna hit? Actually, you think they can actually score 3 touchdowns in this game?
Look, yeah. So let me kind of answer your questions a little bit differently here. So I'm going to start with the win probability and the Vegas odds. Honestly, I think that might be a little low on the win probability side here. I really I think it's closer to 96-97% chance. I understand that they have to do that just to have some opening lines or whatever. But this is the one time, and I'll agree with you. We were talking about this before the show. This is the one time that I think if I don't agree with Vegas, I think they might be underselling the ability of Kansas City just to fuck shit up. I mean, I don't. Kansas City is the best team in the NFL. I understand that the Pittsburgh Steelers are undefeated, but here's the thing: is the Pittsburgh defense is amazing. They're solid. They may be able to stop Kansas City from time to time, but they're still going to score 35 points. They're still going to score 31 points. I think they average 31 to 32 points per game. Yeah. And Patrick Mahomes is quietly having an MVP season. I don't feel like he's not trying. I feel like he's playing the first 3 quarters and then pretty much getting sat for the fourth.
Yeah.
But it's not true because, they're more of a balanced attack. So I'm with you, man. It's going to be difficult to try and get different. We're going to have to find someone that we can play on the Denver Broncos side. But we're going to have to figure out how to get different because I think 5-1 and 4-2 is going to be the popular stack here.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm ballsy enough to really fade that stack, right?
Me neither.
Kansas City is just too good. And I think people are going to go 4-2 just because of different bullshit, right? They might go 4-2 simply because they can't afford to stack in the Chiefs.
Salary,
so
yeah,
we'll get,
sure.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a bit, but I think it's going to be an interesting game. This game could easily be, 38 to 3. So it's going to be interesting.
I typically lean more towards, with the underdog. I'm okay with doing a 3-3 or even a 4-2 with the underdog, or even a 2-4 with the underdog and the captain. If there's a jet slate going on, I like to find random low-owned guy I can throw in the captain who has a high ceiling. It's just in this case, I'm not willing to do that. And of course, this is probably going to be the time where it blows up in my face. But for me, I'm just going to accept the chalk for the most part and try to be different, maybe with a lower-owned captain from the Chiefs, and then throw in a dart or two. That's just going to be the only way to do it this week, in my opinion. I just don't feel comfortable with the Broncos even having a shot here. There's no one who sticks out to me. One thing about the Chiefs we saw last week against Tampa Bay, they do absolutely dominate in the first half. They get things rolling. The game's pretty much over. And then they let off the gas a little bit. And that leaves the door open for the other team. But we're talking about Tampa Bay. They have a great offense. Well, I wouldn't use the word great, but they have a pretty good offense. I just don't see that happening with the Broncos this week. I don't think, especially considering all the COVID issues, you've got some injuries, which we'll get into here in a minute. But the quarterbacks, these guys probably haven't even been on the field with their teammates in potentially a week or two. And we all saw what happened with finally seeing that Baltimore game go down. That was a sloppy ass game because those teams just didn't practice. Like in the NFL, you need to practice. This isn't NBA where practice isn't a big deal.
We talking about practice.
This is a dance. You got to get out there and practice with your teammates, and I don't think that they're really going to be in sync for this game, especially considering you're going to Kansas City. And I know there's not going to be a lot of fans there, but it's still an intimidating place to come into. And I don't think the Broncos have a chance, and I don't think that's a hot take. But I'm going to try to go 5-1, 4-2 this week. So let's move over to injuries. We got a couple on the Broncos side of the ball. We got Phillip Lindsay, who's questionable with the knee. We've got Jerry Jeudy, who's questionable. Both seem like they're trending up, and we'll get into the horse's mouth segment here in a minute. What happened, bro? What's going on?
James got KO'd.
Fuck.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. So the Kansas City Chiefs, we got Byron Pringle out, and then we got CEH or CEE, whatever you want to call him. He's questionable with an illness. And like I said, I think he will play this week along with Lindsay and Jeudy, but you just got to keep an eye on that. So before we get too deep into things, let's hit our segment here where we hear from the coaches themselves.
Just want to know from the horse's mouth, what is the dealio?
So first we've got some info on CEH from Andy Reid.
Injury front, Edwards-Helaire didn't practice today. He's got the same thing that Breezy had with the stomach deal, but we think we're going to get him back here. I mean, I don't think that's a problem. He's feeling better today, but we held him out. So Dorian O'Daniel.
So he's got the shits. He'll be fine. Now going over to the Broncos side of the ball, we got Vic Fangio. Is that the fucking coach? Whatever. We have their questionables here. He'll talk about that.
Lindsey, Judy, Malik Reed, all questionable?
Yeah, we haven't decided exactly how we'll put them out there until then, but yeah, I think they'll all be questionable.
So that's a good sign. The head coach isn't even sure if they're questionable yet, so that, I mean, they could be teetering on the probable side of things. I think both of those guys will play, but obviously keep an eye on that. This is, if Lindsey's out, this is going to be, here's Vic Fangio's response to that.
Lindsey and Jerry Judy do play. Will they be limited at all? And in the case of Philip Lindsey, if he is limited, who will get those reps? Is that Melvin or Royce?
I think it's, be Melvin primarily. We mix Royce in there.
So he's referring to, obviously, so he's referring to Royce Freeman, obviously. So that's interesting to hear from him talk about that. So if Philip Lindsey's out.
Oh, my bad, guys.
Damn. If Philip Lindsey is out, then they're more likely to go just more Melvin Gordon. They're not going to transition Philip Lindsey's snaps over to Royce to 5'9". And here, let's check out this limited.
Will either of them be limited, Judy or Philip Lindsey?
Well, I don't, not limit it tremendously, but yeah, obviously, if their injury starts aggravating them a little bit, they could be, yes.
So thanks, Coach.
That's super helpful.
So, anyways, I think the only thing to take out of this is I think both injuries on both sides of the ball they're gonna be fine. We're talking about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's gonna play. Philip Lindsey and Jerry Judy most likely will play. But if Philip Lindsey happens to be out, those snaps most likely aren't going to go to Royce Freeman. It's probably just going to stay more Melvin Gordon. So if Philip Lindsey's out, Melvin Gordon is a better play. Hearing all this stuff, looking at the injuries, how does that change your opinion? And what are you going to be looking out for if one of these guys is out? How do you transition?
Yeah, I don't know. Jerry Judy and Philip Lindsey are both interesting plays to me just because of their price tag, right? I think they have a very, very explosive upside. So I think the biggest impact to me with them being out is obviously I'm just not going to play them. I don't think I'm going to have much of their backups. I think Jerry Judy being out may give a Tim Patrick a slight boost. But again, I'm so concerned about what the Denver Broncos' offense is able to do. I mean, look, the Kansas City Chiefs defense isn't anything to write home about, but they're also not awful. They have a lot of playmakers, and they're getting a lot of rhythm. They're able to go out there and get a pick six. They're gonna get some sacks. So I don't know. I just don't think it impacts all that much. I think it's just. If Philip Lindsey is out, you're going to get a lot of Melvin Gordon chalk. Just because I think he's the best player on the team at that point. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. I think how the slate's going to come down is I'm going to be focused on kind of my core from the Chiefs and then just rotating random fucking Broncos practice squad players. And I guess I don't know.
I mean, we all saw what happened last week without a quarterback for the Broncos. I figured Melvin Gordon was going to get a ton of volume. Maybe he'd get a lot of receptions out of the backfield. It just didn't happen. He had 12 carries for 31 yards, no targets. I see this as a similar situation. I know that they have a quarterback back. I know they have Drew Lock in there. It doesn't really scare me. And if you're the Chiefs, I don't think you're scared by the passing game from this team at all. Jerry Judy is a great player. He's a rookie. He's got a lot of work to do to become that number one guy. And Tim Patrick, I don't even know who the fuck this guy is. Do you know what he looks like? Do you know what his number is? I don't. I don't know who he is. I've seen him play. I can't visualize him off the top of my head like I can with most NFL players. That's probably not a good sign.
I'm pretty sure his number is between 10 and 20. I know that's not helpful, but it's kind of 50-50, I guess. But look, Tim Patrick, he actually does have a little bit of speed. He has the ability to kind
Yeah.
open up a defense on the top a little bit. But yeah, we'll get a little more into that at wide receiver. But I don't know, man. I don't watch the fucking Broncos play, especially with Drew Lock. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
what are we supposed to do? Like, there's nothing interesting to me about the Broncos at all. And that's when they had Peyton Manning. Like, I don't fucking care about Denver. So hopefully, just to be clear, my biases do not impact my betting. In these kind of instances, obviously, because that'd be stupid as fuck. So let's just be clear.
All right, let's get into the breakdown.
Let's get into it, man.
All right, so we're gonna go over to quarterbacks for both teams here. We got Patrick Mahomes, 13.2K. That's the price I expect him to be at, considering the trends we've seen lately with Showdown. You have these elite quarterbacks over 13,000. Especially when it comes to a slate where there's not a lot of options on the other side of the ball. You have Drew Lock at 9.2K. That is a good price for him. I don't think I'm going to get to him a lot in this game. If he was in under 9K, maybe I'd consider a little bit more, but 9.2K is a pretty good price for him. I don't think he's overpriced. How are you handling Patrick Mahomes? I mean, can you... He's going to be in the flex over 50%, and he's going to be in the captain over 25% or around 25%. So you're talking about 75 to 80% total owned. Can you find leverage by fading him? We've talked about this before with these quarterbacks in blowout potential games. Do you need him simply because he might not be needed? They might find other ways to beat this team. How do you handle these quarterbacks?
I mean, we said it on the last Showdown slate with the Chiefs. I don't think you need Patrick Mahomes to get there. This is going to be a little bit different of a slate, mainly because it is a divisional game, and we're getting close to needing to worry about seeding, especially with the Steelers being undefeated. And having a seventh playoff team in each division means your number 2 seed is going to have to play somebody. So they're not getting a first round bye. So these games start to get a little bit more important. Honestly, I think you go with the field or above the field. If you want to get crazy, I think you need to play 2 or 3 lineups without Patrick Mahomes. And that's just because, if you're not playing him, you're playing a very specific lineup. So you need to make sure that you're getting a little bit different if you're going to fade him. But I don't think this is as stone cold of let's be honest. The last Showdown slate, it wasn't necessarily clear that he wasn't going to be in the optimal. But we called it. We called it kind of a bold take and more of a blasphemous take, if anything. But I don't know. I don't think you necessarily need him tomorrow night, but at the same time, I think now's the time in the season where Andy Reid might just let Patrick Mahomes just fucking let it rip. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but we're getting so close to the playoffs. You need that momentum. You don't want to be put in a position where you're kind of just half-assing it through the regular season and not having the momentum you need to go beat a team like the Titans in the playoffs who are going to run it down your throat. So I don't know if he's as solid of a fade as he was in the last slate. I think you're going to need a decent amount of exposure to him tomorrow night. And if you're going to fade him, you're looking at maybe 2 to 3 lineups. I think 85% ownership projection is probably what he's going to end up at. And I think he'll be closer to 92, 93% by the time we hit lock tomorrow night.
So one interesting thing here, obviously these teams are division rivals. They played already this year before in Denver, and Denver lost bad, 43-16. And if you look at it, the fantasy output for Mahomes here, it's only 12 fantasy points. He only threw the ball 23 times. That sticks out. That's the least amount this year besides the New England game. Actually, Buffalo, he threw 20. Oh, yeah, that is the least amount. Yeah, so he threw 23 times. That's the least amount this entire season. He went 15 for 23, 200 yards and a touchdown. They just didn't need him. They still scored 43 points, and Patrick Mahomes only put up 12 fantasy points. Do I think that can happen again? I don't think so. I think they're actually really hitting their stride offensively now. But if you look at the attempts there, 49, 45, 45, 42, and then it drops down to 23. There is a situation, there is a path where Patrick Mahomes is just not needed in this game as much as he would be against other teams. And if this isn't really a competitive game, which I don't think it's going to be, we need to consider potentially going slightly under the field with Mahomes simply because you can get Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, CEH, you can get all those guys in a lineup together and then throw a Demarcus Robinson or something to that effect. We'll get into those guys in a minute. But there's potential to fade Mahomes simply because I know he has the ceiling and I know that he's going to be super high owned, but you just might not need him in a game like this where it's a blowout. So with Drew Lock at 9,200, I personally let's look at ownership on him. Let's just get a sort of a ballpark where he's at. So he's going to be around 30% in the flex and under 10% in the captain. I think I might lean more towards being half the field in the flex and then above the field in the captain. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm protecting the fact that if he does have a ceiling output here, or if there's a lot of garbage time at 9,200, a quarterback under 10% owned in the captain might really unlock a lot of unique lineups for you. So in my opinion, getting Drew Lock in the captain more so than you would in the flex is sort of a good strategy for me. How do you handle this, Ellie? Do you want any Drew Lock at all? I mean, it hasn't been very pretty for him this year so far, and considering he's been sitting on his couch with COVID, or at least in COVID protocol, how does he come back and have a good game against the best team in the NFL?
I think you have to have some exposure to him. If this is somewhat of a blowout, honestly, if this game is more than 10 points, with the Chiefs leading more than 10 points at any point in the game, Drew Lock's going to have to throw the ball to get him in the game. I think he has the potential upside. Let's keep in mind that the Chiefs defense does have the ability to give up yards. They may not necessarily give up as many points as they have in the past, but they will give up yardage, and I think you do have the potential to get Drew Lock in the optimal at 9,200. Again, he is an interesting captain choice at 9,200. He's going to be under 10% at the quarterback position. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of quarterbacks in the captain spot unless it's Patrick Mahomes or like Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray. But Drew Lock does have a little bit of a rushing upside. Again, this isn't earth-shattering analysis here, but he's going to be necessary if this game's going to stay anywhere near competitive. Yeah. Unless you think Philip Lindsay or Melvin Gordon's rushing for 203 touchdowns, Drew Lock has to do something to make this game stay close. So I think you're going to have some exposure to him. Again, I think you're going to be in a position where it's going to be best to kind of rotate in your exposure to Denver specifically. But I do think that you're going to have a couple builds that are focusing specifically on getting Drew Lock's points and maybe identifying who his other who the recipient of the yards or the receptions are. So it is definitely something you need to keep in mind. And again, my exposure will largely be dictated by Vegas line movement in this particular case. Yeah. And the exposure projections, ownership projections.
So one interesting idea here, at least for me, that I'm going to adopt tomorrow when I'm building lineups for this game, is if I'm doing 5-1s, typically speaking, I like to choose my captain, lock them in, and then from there choose my stack type, and then grab lineups from there from Excel based on dupes, things like that. But for me personally, if I'm building 5-1s, I don't want to have Drew Lock as that one on the other side of the ball. Because if the game script works out the way it is in a 5-1, it's a blowout. I'd rather go with a Tim Patrick or a Jerry Jeudy or Melvin Gordon, a guy who has a little bit lower ownership that probably will be a recipient of a bigger game than Drew Lock as a quarterback in a blowout. I don't think that Drew Lock has high upside if they're getting blown out. So I'd rather go.
And
go ahead, bro.
And let's be honest. that's probably going to be the chalkiest version of the 5-1. The chalkiest version of it is going to be Philip Lindsay, Drew Lock, and probably whoever the fuck the kickers is, Brandon McManus or
McManus, yeah.
I don't even know if that's still their kicker, but those are going to be the three chalkiest build on the 5-1 stack.
Yeah.
So you're exactly right. Again, this is a perfect slate to just take your if you're using an optimizer to go in and set your max salary to something underneath like 48,000 or 49,500, right? Because you're gonna have to get different somewhere else, and if you allow that salary to max out, you know that Drew Lock's gonna be jammed in there. So I support that 100% on the 5-1s.
And Drew Lock is the highest projected player on the entire team by far, by 5 points, I think, or by 4 points, something like that. So he's going to just be jammed into all of those lineups, all those 5-1 lineups. If you sort in your optimizer, if you sort by top projected points and you set it to where you want 5-1 Chiefs, Drew Lock is just going to be the one in every one of those lineups. So you need to focus on maxing out his exposure to a number you're comfortable with, and then sorting by ceiling or sorting by another option that'll allow you to be a little bit different, so you don't have 80% of your lineups with Drew Lock if you're going a bunch of 5-1s. It's just something to keep an eye on, because when I'm building, I end up randomly getting like way too much exposure on these guys, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Well, you got to really go in there. You gotta do a lot of work. You got to do a lot of crunches. Typically I'm crunching 30 plus times, 200 something plus lineups just to get into an area where I actually really like, specifically for Showdown. That's even more important to do that. All right, so let's move over to the running backs. We're going Broncos side of things. We got Melvin Gordon at 7,800. Not bad pricing for him. I just think this particular game script is just not ideal for him. Melvin Gordon is the kind of guy that'll get handed off the ball, 15 plus times. I just don't see them being able to even run the ball that much in this game. Especially considering they have their quarterbacks. They have a quarterback that's starting a game this week. They're just going to have to come out and throw the ball to keep up with KC. There's no way they can get into 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 6s, and be able to keep up in this game. They're going to have to throw on first down, and hopefully if they can get into a 2nd and short, then they can do a little play action. They're going to have to establish the run in this game. Obviously, I just don't think it's going to be successful, and I think they're going to have to abandon it at a certain point. So Melvin Gordon at 7,800, he's the workhorse. If Philip Lindsay is in, you're still going to see Melvin Gordon getting probably, I would assume, 60+% of the snaps. Philip Lindsay's probably going to be in the 30% range, and then you're going to get a little Royce Freeman sprinkled in there. If Philip Lindsay's out, Royce Freeman is a good option at 800. I just don't think he's going to pick up that 30% of the snap volume that Philip Lindsay had. It'll probably be more of a 75-25 or 80-20 situation with Melvin Gordon and Royce Freeman. Ellie, how are you handling this? Is Philip Lindsay at 4,200 a pretty good option if he starts, especially considering he's questionable, which will drive his ownership down?
Yeah, I like Philip Lindsay a lot. At 4,200, I don't think it really matters if he starts. Even he's going to get decent usage in this offense. He's going to get more involved in the pass game than Melvin Gordon will. And he's an explosive player. So I like him a lot. I think he's in a decent spot. And Royce Freeman, again, he's not bad if Philip Lindsay is out. I think you're right on. I don't know if he's going to get 30% of the carries, but at $800, I mean, you need 2 receptions, 30 yards, and maybe a touchdown. So
yeah.
I definitely would be willing to get exposure to him. But Melvin Gordon, I'm really not that interested in. You're exactly right. He's going to need a significant amount of significant amount of volume to be able to get there. And unless they open up with the ball and they drive down and score a touchdown on that first drive, I don't know that there's too many game scripts that are going to keep Melvin Gordon on the field. The problem for me here is I just feel like Denver is going to fall behind quickly enough that they're exactly going to have what you said earlier, right? They're going to have to abandon the run, and that's really going to mean Melvin Gordon. Philip Lindsay gives them the ability to run draw plays to run the ball and to run the pass offense too.
Yeah.
So I think they're a little more comfortable getting Philip Lindsay on the field. So I like Philip Lindsay if he plays. Freeman if Philip Lindsay doesn't play. I will not have any of him if Lindsay is active. But I don't think I'll have much of Melvin Gordon, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I don't see me getting a ton of him. I think he's projected pretty low, which is really, I mean, it's kind of obvious. You have the starting running back who doesn't catch a lot of passes out of the backfield. He hasn't scored a lot of touchdowns this year. I mean, he's got, what, 4, 6, 7 total touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown. So he's not really, he's not that impressive this year. But if he's coming in under, he's coming in right around 20% in the utility and under 5% in the captain, you have to start looking at ownership here because that could swing a whole different way. If he ends up being under 20% projected and, if he's sticking around 3% in the captain, I might have to actually consider getting some 2-4s or 1-5s even with Melvin Gordon, considering he is the guy on this team. And look, there's opportunity for 2 touchdowns, 2 1-yard touchdowns for this guy, and he's the highest scoring player on the team. And you're going to have him, and especially at 7,800. You're going to be unique if you're putting Melvin Gordon at the captain, but it all depends on ownership. I'm not going to get a lot of that. I actually might get 0 of that, and I actually might be half the field on his ownership, just depending on where that projected ownership comes in at. And Philip Lindsay, look, he's to me, he should be higher owned than Melvin Gordon in this game. If he starts, he should be way higher owned because the game script really fits Philip Lindsay's style. He can get a couple receptions out of the backfield. He might end up getting a random receiving touchdown, and shit, he might get a draw play on 3rd and 15 for fucking 20 plus yards. That kind of a shit in garbage time. You have to keep an eye on that stuff. So Philip Lindsay to me is my favorite play on this side of the ball if he plays, which I think he will. If he doesn't play, I'll sprinkle in some Royce Freeman. I anticipate Royce Freeman probably, if Lindsay sits, he'll probably be around 15% owned, something like that. I might go 20% or a little bit higher on him because getting him in as your 1 or your 2 Broncos players really allows you to get potentially the 3 best players on the Chiefs in your lineup. All right, so let's move over to the other side of the ball here. We've got Kansas City, Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 8,400. Pretty good price for him. I think it's maybe just a little bit higher than I'm comfortable with, considering that he's been splitting more with Le'Veon. He just hasn't gotten in the end zone as much as we've wanted him to this year. 8,400 is a pretty good price. His ownership is relatively low. He's like the 5th highest on the slate. I think he's going to come in under 30% and under 10% in the captain. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a good option in my opinion. You have a team that's favored by 13 points. They're going to be potentially running the clock down in the second half. You have to figure that is going to give him a couple more carries, a couple more receptions out of the backfield. The only question is Le'Veon Bell being worked more into this offense? And at 2,400, it's hard to ignore Le'Veon Bell. He got a touchdown a few weeks ago with this team. He's been in on more drives. He's been getting more opportunity. And then you got Darrell Williams at 1,000, which is an option, but he just doesn't get enough snaps to even most likely consider him. How do you handle these 3 guys? Who's your favorite guy to play here? And with Edwards-Helaire coming in under 30%, do you try to double the field on him simply because he has the upside?
Yeah. That's my analysis for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yes, play him.
Yeah.
I will play him as much as I can. I mean, look, you're a 10-point or a 13.5 point favorite. Like and you have the quarterback of all time. Like, let's be honest, if Patrick Mahomes can stay healthy, there's a very good chance that he will be what Aaron Rodgers should have been to the NFL. He's in a perfect situation. He has the ability, and he is clearly one of the most gifted fucking quarterbacks we've ever seen play.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think Andy Reid knows that, and I think they're going to feed Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now, just to point out a couple things that you're talking about. So CEH obviously is going to get a bulk of the carries. Darrell Williams, he was kind of the backup running back in week 11 against Vegas. He had 20 carries, or he had 20 snaps that he was on the field. Sorry. And then
Damn, that's a good game.
And then Le'Veon Bell also had 20 snaps, right? Now, if you look at week 12 against Tampa, Clyde Edwards obviously had 47. Le'Veon Bell had 24, and Darrell Williams dropped down to 8.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I think Andy Reid is dude is an offensive mastermind. He understands who he has on this team, right? Le'Veon Bell, I don't give a shit if he's, I mean, what is he, like 29?
I don't think he's that old, dude. Yeah, he's not that old.
Let's not pretend like Le'Veon Bell is washed, right? He really he created kind of the style of running that he utilizes. There's never been a running back that I've ever watched that's had so much patience behind an offensive line, and that's saying something. Running backs are supposed to hit the hole a lot harder. He'll literally stand in the hole for a second and a half, and wait for something to open, and then he can bust it open, right? And he had his holdout year. It's not like he's been sitting out because of injuries or anything like that. Yeah, he just hasn't been in the right situation. Let's not act like Adam Gase is the head coach or offensive mastermind that everybody thought he was 3 years ago.
Yeah, so, true.
I fully anticipate Le'Veon Bell to continue to get more work into this offense. And I like him at that price, 2,400. I mean, look, if 24 snaps, if he's going to get a couple receptions out of the backfield, he has the ability to go pick up 20, 30 yards. I mean, he doesn't need a touchdown at 2,400, but there is a good chance that he can potentially get one. So I like him a lot. Darrell Williams is probably going to be crossed out of my player pool. And then Anthony Sherman is a fucking fullback. I don't know why he has RB next to him. But, I won't have any other exposure.
Bro, your face is fucked up, dude.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm like, I look like fucking Rudolph over here. I don't even understand. Like, I pay a lot of money for this internet. So, it's like, I know it's not slow. I think it's just
the iPhone.
46 things that we're trying to do. Yeah. Yeah, bro. So St. Preux is going to lose this fight. There's anyways.
No shit.
So yeah, look, those are my two running backs. I'll probably have a decent amount of both of them in each of my lineups. Just 2,400 is too cheap. So
and
I like those two guys.
Like we always say, I mean, if you put CH in the captain and you put Le'Veon Bell in the flex, immediately unique. It's just people are just not going to do it. It's just not going to happen. And we've seen multiple times the optimals with two tight ends, with with plays that are not optimal typically on when it comes to, if you're playing main slate NFL, you would never do that. But this is Showdown, baby. You can do whatever the fuck you want. When it comes to actually playing this shit, when you get down to it, if you're playing smart, you're probably going to lose. You have to play stupid sometimes. And I think that playing these suboptimal plays, these handcuffs, can actually make you unique enough, but you still have a high enough upside to where you're not playing these random ass dudes, fourth, fifth string wide receivers. Instead of doing that, just double up on your running backs for a team that's favored by 13 plus points. You're going to get all that volume, and you're going to get a shitload of carries. All right, let's move over to wide receiver for the Chiefs. This is going to be interesting, fun to talk about. Tyreek Hill literally breaking the world last week. Dude had 200 plus yards in the fucking first quarter, I think, right? I mean, he absolutely crushed this shit. And he's at 12.2K, which is probably one of the highest salaries I've ever seen for a wide receiver on DraftKings for a showdown. He deserves it. But at a certain point, is Tyreek Hill not worth it at 12.2K, especially in a game where they're favored by so much? They might not be getting as many. He might not be getting as many targets in the second half as he really needs to be to pay off that salary. You got Sammy Watkins at 7K. He actually came back last week. Had the box score is not gonna, nothing to write home about. He only had 7.8 points. He almost scored a touchdown in that game in the first quarter, I believe, or first half. He caught a ball in the red zone, brought it down to about the 1 yard line, almost scored a touchdown. So that would have changed everything for him. Sammy Watkins at 7K is actually a pretty good option. But to me, Demarcus Robinson is one of my favorite guys at 4,800. He was targeted quite a bit last week. He got involved quite a bit. He got 6 targets last week, which for a guy at 4,800 is pretty good. 36 yards. Didn't really, wasn't too impressive with this fantasy output, but he was getting volume. If you watch that game, he was actually getting a lot of targets. He caught 5 of 6 passes. Demarcus Robinson could be one of those guys that breaks the slate, and as well as Mecole Hardman. I think all 4 of these guys can absolutely. Mecole Hardman got 5 targets as well. So to me, I'm more likely to just fade Tyreek Hill. I know it's almost suicide, but he is the second highest owned guy on the slate. You're talking about a wide receiver who's 15+% in the captain ownership, and overall hitting around 60%. I'm okay with the 60%, but 15% in the captain on a slate where you got to fit in a lot of high owned guys. I'm not going to have any Tyreek Hill in the captain. It's just the way I'm going to play it. I know it's risky. I know he can absolutely have 3 touchdowns, 200 yards. I just feel like I want to move another direction because I think I'd rather fade Tyreek Hill than over any of the other high price guys on this team, simply because it's recency bias. I know he's a great player. I know he can absolutely go off, and I'm ready to shut my laptop if he does go off. But finding leverage, Tyreek Hill potentially can just have another 100-yard game, and yeah, you throw him in the flex and you go with the field potentially or slightly under, can make you a lot different. How are you handling all 4 of these guys? And is there a certain player that you're trying to avoid or you're trying to get more into your lineups?
So I think the biggest thing I disagree with you on is just Sammy Watkins. I don't like him at 7K. He needs to be the same price as Demarcus Robinson and Mecole Hardman, or at least Demarcus Robinson. It's slightly higher. I think at 52 to 5,500 would be a more reasonable price for Sammy Watkins. Demarcus Robinson at 4,800 is fine, but Mecole Hardman should probably be closer to 4K. Just because of his pricing, I don't think I'm going to have as much Sammy Watkins as I normally would. Tyreek Hill, he's a superstar, man. I think just based on my priorities going to Pat Mahomes, I'll naturally be forced to drop some exposure on Tyreek Hill closer to 40%, 35%.
Yeah.
I'll still have a healthy amount of him, but it's going to be more part of a rotation. It'll probably be him and Kelsey, or I'll have one of those 2 in my lineups, and then Sammy, Demarcus, or Mecole. Probably a maximum of one of each of those 3 in my lineups.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I'm going to build this. I'm gonna use rules on this particular slate. I don't do that very often, but I want to rotate some of these guys in, so that I have exposure to a couple different builds in a certain core, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want all 3 of these guys. I don't want Sammy Watkins and Demarcus Robinson in the same lineup, or Hardman, Robinson, whatever. Those 3 I don't want in the same lineup. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, again, this slate, I don't think you need them in the same lineup.
Yeah.
So again, I'll probably have a max one there too.
Yeah.
But again, my exposure to the offense on Kansas City is going to be very well balanced, or as balanced as I could possibly get. I think again that's going to naturally lower my ownership my exposure to Tyreek Hill. But I think that's the safest way to play this game. I think that's the smartest way to play this game. I think I think you're right on. Everybody's going to be on Tyreek Hill, and they're going to be trying to force him in as much as possible.
Yeah.
I think I'll kind of just get wherever I land. Granted, I don't want to fall much lower than 30%, but I do want to kind of limit my exposure, because I don't want too many of these cheap ass random fucking dudes, because that means you have to get Nick Kaiser, the $200 tight end or whatever. I don't want to do any of that shit on this slate, right? Yeah. We know where the points are going to be concentrated, so I'm going to try and capture those points as much as I can.
So let's think about overall roster construction for this particular slate. So when you think about what most people are going to do, it's probably going to be a 4-2. You're probably going to have Mahomes or Hill in the captain, and you're going to have 2 really low price guys, right? So probably Royce Freeman or some kicker, and then Drew Lock, and then on the other side of the ball, you're going to have one of these really cheap guys from Kansas City. That's just it's a stars and scrubs sort of a week. in my opinion. To me, I'd rather go middle of the pack. I'd rather go middle of the pack for captain, price-wise, and then go with Demarcus Robinson, some Sammy Watkins, some Le'Veon Bell, and go middle of the pack for this kind of game. Because look, we just don't know how this game is going to go down. I know that the Chiefs are going to win, and I know that they're probably going to win by a lot. But how does that change up the game script? And how does that affect the actual snap count for some of these guys? I know Tyreek Hill is going to get a lot of targets, but here's the thing. Like with Devontae Adams, like last week, I chose to fade Devontae Adams. Why? Because they were going to blow that team out. And I just don't think you need Devontae Adams if you're up by 3 or 4 touchdowns. He's not going to get as many targets. And it turned out he had a touchdown in the first drive, I think, and he ended up with like 100 yards, but he wasn't in the optimal because you just didn't need him. So to me, that's a similar situation with Tyreek Hill. I think he can absolutely score a touchdown. I think he can absolutely get over 100 yards. But there's a situation where because he's so expensive, you're forced to go down to an $800 guy or a under $1,000 guy who gets you 0, and then you don't have like even close to as many points as you absolutely need if you spread yourself out. That's just the way I'm going to look at it this week. It could end my night early. I'm okay with that because I know that Tyreek Hill is a great player. He's been crushing it lately, and everyone knows that. Can he have a bad game? Yeah, I think he can still have a good game and not be in the optimal lineup. That's just my opinion. A long-winded explanation. Let's move over to wide receivers for the Broncos. So you got Jerry Jeudy. You got at $5,400. That's a good price for him, to be honest. You got Tim Patrick at $4,600. KJ Hamler at $1,800. Deshaun Hamilton at $1,600. I don't know where I want to go with these guys. Jerry Jeudy, is actually projected lower than Tim Patrick by a fraction of a point here or there. I just don't know where to go here. I think Tim Patrick is actually a really good option. Jerry Jeudy is the name, and I think his ownership will reflect that. I think Tim Patrick can actually fall way under the radar. But does Tim Patrick, which one or two of these Denver players is going to end up in the optimal? I just don't know. Do we go kicker? Do we try to find these wide receivers? Do we find the random one wide receiver from this team that can actually be in the optimal and have a good game? I don't know. Ellie, take it away with your choices here. Where are you leaning for wide receivers?
I like Jerry Jeudy if he plays. He's a little expensive given the fact that I don't think that they have a real offense. But again, he's the best route runner they have. He's the fastest player they have. And, my Alabama bias is going to kick in here a little bit. I'd watch
You son of a bitch.
That's exactly right. He's a fucking grown-ass man, dude. And when he's healthy, he has the potential to be one of the top receivers in the league. So the only thing that I want to want to point out for Jerry Jeudy is he was a number one, or he was a first-round draft pick, right? So this is a season that's essentially lost to this team. If he's even slightly questionable, he is a franchise type wide receiver, right? So there's no reason for them to stress him out and risking further injury, regardless of how badly he wants to play, just because of his ability and he does have that upside. So that's something to be mindful of. I would kind of not overexpose yourself to him, but you're going to need a little bit of him just because he does have that upside. Tim Patrick, once again, I agree with you. I think he's a solid play. 4,600 is a little bit steep for me. He should probably be closer to 3,400, but who knows? He has the upside to end up, getting something done. He can catch a touch and take one to the house.
Yeah, he's got 3 touchdowns this year. It's not bad. I mean, look at those numbers there. It's not bad. Yeah. I mean, he's got a 26-point game, a 19-point game, a 17-point game. I think he's actually much more impressive overall this year than Jerry Jeudy. Obviously, Jerry Judy's coming into his own. He's a rookie. It's taking him a little bit more time to get comfortable with Drew Lock. But Tim Patrick overall, to me, is the best wide receiver consistently on this team. He's getting quite a few targets. Yeah, what's up, bro?
Pull up KJ Hamler. I don't want to cut you off, but KJ Hamler at 1,800 is really interesting to me, dude.
KJ Hamler has a shitload of touchdowns this year. He's got 3. He's got 6 touchdowns this year.
Right. And at $1,800, bro, like if I have to just randomly fucking play somebody on the Broncos, I'd rather have the guy that's has the potential to score a touchdown, right? And here's the thing: is he has the ability to come in and kick return, punt return, or whatever, right? There's potential to get into something else, but he's getting rush attempts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's got 2 games with 10 targets. 1 game with 6. I know Jerry Jeudy was probably out for those, but even games with 3 targets. I mean, yeah, he only has 2 games with 3 targets. Everything else is above 5. So.
Yeah, his snap rate is pretty nice this season. So week 12, it doesn't really count because they didn't have a quarterback, but he actually had more snaps than Jerry Jeudy. Week 11, he had 57% of the snaps compared to Jerry Judy's 65. And in week 10, he had 91%. He had the same amount as Jerry Jeudy. So the question here is, who actually end up having a better game? Is it KJ Hamler or Jerry Jeudy? I think Tim Patrick has established himself as the guy who's on the field all the time. So the question here is, do we set a rule where we go either Jerry Jeudy or KJ Hamler? We don't have both of them on the field at the same time, and we maybe get a lineup with Tim Patrick and KJ Hamler or something like that. Like that could be a very good option. I think it's obvious that Hamler could potentially be that breakout guy where Jerry Judy's way high owned and Hamler is actually the guy who gets those targets.
I mean, honestly, that's not a bad way to get different on the slate, is to run a 4-2 with both wide receivers and running Tim Patrick and KJ Hamler. And honestly, you wouldn't be doing terrible saving kind of the salary that you're going to have there.
Yeah.
So I would kind of put KJ Hamler just out of this group. I think he's probably my favorite wide receiver just because his price and his potential upside.
It's a good call, dude. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, for $1,800, you're not going to go wrong. And again, Kansas City's defense is not the greatest.
Yeah.
They're going to give up yardage. They're going to give up receptions. They're just probably not going to give up as many touchdowns as you would expect.
Yeah.
So again, I mean that'll be something to revisit when we talk about kickers. But that's something to keep in mind here. Is Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler, if they're going to, even Jerry Jeudy, if they're going to get these, the volume when it comes to targets, there is a good chance that they're going to be in the optimal. So at 1,800, I like KJ Hamler, and then I think you're right on with Tim Patrick. But again, Jerry Judy's 100% in play if he's healthy.
Of course. All right, so let's move over to the tight end side of things for Denver. This is pretty interesting. Noah Fant has been a disappointment overall. Now, I don't know if that's a product of the team in general, with the quarterbacks not really playing well, and this team just not being a very good team. He's at 5,000. I don't know if it's him or if it's the team, to be honest. Noah Fant had a pretty good start to the year, but right now he's just not. He's trending down, in my opinion. And this could be a situation where he, sort of regresses back to his, where he normally should be. But you're looking at a guy who's probably going to get, 3 or 4 targets, maybe upwards of 7. It's just hard with him to know if what you're going to get from him. Tight end is hard. Typically, it's more of a game script thing sometimes. Noah Fant is not really one of my favorite plays this week because I just don't know what we're going to get from him. If he was under 4,000 or something, I'd be a lot higher on him. What are your thoughts on Noah Fant and Nick Vannett at $600?
Not too interested. Noah Fant has the ability to score touchdowns. He's a very athletic tight end. He's one of those Eric Ebron types. Like he's more of a wide receiver playing tight end. He's big enough to play tight end. So he does have the upside. But again, the offense is just too inconsistent, and they don't give him the volume that he needs to be successful. So I'm not really that interested.
Yeah.
Same thing with Nick Vannett. I don't give a shit about. Honestly, not to flip the whole script of this fucking show, but I really didn't notice until that wide receiver segment that KJ Hamler was so cheap and getting the volume that he does.
Yeah,
I mean,
agree.
honestly, here's the thing: is I want to find the cheapest fucking guy that's going to get me some decent points on Denver. And I think that's KJ Hamler. That's going to allow me to throw in as much of the volume or the offense that I can on the Chiefs. So, with that said, I probably just won't take the dart throw that I'm going to need to take for Nick Vannett. Hamler's going to be on the field 70% of the time. He doesn't have to be out there 90% of the time to get more value than Nick Vannett or Noah Fant. So again, I normally I probably would have been a little bit more high on this guy because you guys know how I am about tight ends. But again, my flip and my game plan for tomorrow night's kind of changed a little bit just based on the Hamler pricing.
Yeah. So when it comes to Noah Fant, he actually over the past 5 weeks when it comes to wide receivers and tight ends, he's been on the field about 78% of the time. So he's getting on the field. His air yards amongst starters for pass catchers are some of the lowest on the team. He's just not getting, his depth of target is at 5. His ADOT is 5.7. It's not very good. KJ Hamler's is at 8. Jerry Jeudy is the highest on the team in air yards. So you have, when it comes to Jerry Jeudy, you have that upside. That one play he can break the slate. When it comes to Noah Fant, you're dinking and dunking more about yards after catch than anything with him. It's just not going to be sexy for Noah Fant like it would be with the wide receivers. And like you said, with Nick Vannett, I know $600 is tempting. I just don't think it's worth it, especially like we just discovered with Hamler. So let's move over to the tight end side on KC. There's not really much to talk about here. You've got fucking Travis Kelce at 10.8K. Play him as much as you can. I would rather get more Travis Kelce in this game than Tyreek Hill because, look, he's about, 2.6K less or something, almost 3K less than Tyreek Hill, and he still has upside. I don't think he has as high of a ceiling. That's obvious, but you got a guy who can catch the ball 10 times and score 2 touchdowns. At that price, you're going to need to decide. We can't put all 3 of these guys in a lineup together, most likely. Potentially you could if you punted on multiple positions, but Kelce, Hill...
Lock KJ Hamler, and you'll be fine.
Yeah? All right, well, we'll build a lineup here in a minute and see if we can fit all 3 of them in. But my point here is you're going to have to make a decision between Kelce, Mahomes, and Tyreek Hill. Which one do you like more? Or actually, it's more about which one of these guys do you like the least, and where's the ownership coming in on them? With Travis Kelce, I mean, he's still high owned. Don't get me wrong. And he's pretty expensive for a tight end, 10.8K, obviously. But in my opinion, Tyreek Hill, Kelce, one of them is going to go off. They typically don't go off together, and if they do, it's more like Kelce gets 19 fantasy points. We saw it on a showdown slate a few weeks ago, I believe, where Tyreek Hill went off and Kelce had a really good game. He didn't necessarily break the slate, but you rarely see them both absolutely break the slate. So this week is going to be a situation where you just can't have both of them in a lineup together. Now this goes unless you fade Mahomes, which, like I was saying before, if you really want to have fun with it, you go Tyreek Hill and Kelce in the same lineup. You fade Mahomes, and you go like a CEH and a Le'Veon Bell as your 4 guys, and you run it back with KJ Hamler and another guy from the Broncos. That is a unique build, and depending on the game script, it might work out. So how are you handling Kelce versus Hill versus Mahomes? Are you going to have more Kelce than you will Hill?
Yes. I don't disagree with anything that you said. I think Travis Kelce is damn near. Again, the only reason he's not a lock is because I don't want to run him and Hill in the same lineup.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd be a lock for me. At 10.8K, like it's just. I mean, he's cheaper. He's going to get the volume. He's projected for damn near the same amount of fantasy points, right? So, I mean, again, the only thing that he doesn't have is the fact that he can't run a fucking 3.740, right? Tyreek Hill's up the field and gone before anybody's noticed.
Yeah.
But Travis Kelce, I mean, 10 receptions for 120 yards and a touchdown is 100% going to be in the optimal. And yeah. I fully think he's capable of doing that.
Yeah.
Again, right, I think we're going to see the Chiefs offense likes to do that because they like to throw the ball to Tyreek Hill in the opening stages of the game because it allows them to jump out to a quick lead.
Yeah.
Right. I think Denver is going to be kind of prepared for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the way that you mitigate that from Andy Reid's perspective is you start throwing the ball to Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Right. He's going to be open in those medium to long routes, right, in the 10 to 15-yard range where he has the ability to get the yards after catch. And if you have the safety and a cover or in a corner on Tyreek Hill, then all of a sudden you have a strong safety and potentially another corner that are able to shift over to Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
And if he's getting his volume, it's behind the linebackers, right? That's where he gets his catches, is behind the linebackers. And if linebackers aren't going to be there to bring him down, he has the ability to fucking break this.
And you have,
I think,
yeah.
Bro, no, Honey Badger is going to be on Noah Fant.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, you're right on, and that's actually a very good call out because, fucking dude, he's good. He's good at coverage, and he's good at coverage on tight ends.
But Noah Fant's pretty big though. Noah Fant's pretty big guy.
Yeah, I don't give a shit,
dude.
Fucking Honey Badger is Adrian Wilson's stepson. Like that's all I can say here. We'll tag A-Dub after this. And by the way, to anybody who gives a shit, which you probably don't, my Twitter handle ADubsKing24 is actually A-Dub, as in Adrian Wilson is King number 24. So it's really not that complicated. All right,
let's move over to kicker.
Cut that out. No. I need you. I need you to cut that out so that we can tweet Adrian Wilson that. But anyways, yes. Let's move
Before I make any more dumb mistakes with the personnel on these teams, let's move over to Harrison Butker and Brandon McManus, 4K and 3,600. How are we handling this? Butker is always a great option when it comes to 40, 50-plus yard field goals. Brandon McManus might be the only, he might get the only points on the entire team for the Broncos. I don't particularly love playing kickers, especially in a game like this where I think it can be a blowout. But do you get McManus in as one or your two Broncos players here?
Yeah, I think you do. I think you need to be careful though, because if you're like we discussed earlier, if you're running a 5-1 or 4-2, I think Brandon McManus is going to be kind of the chalk in those particular builds, right? And we're trying to get different. So I think honestly, again, not to sound like a broken record, stacking McManus and KJ Hamler might be the way to go.
Yeah.
You're spending less than 5K essentially, or 5,500 on the Broncos players. You're gonna have a 2 stack, which is probably still gonna be in the minority. I'm pretty sure everybody's gonna go 5-1.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's gonna be the chalkiest build. And again, I think you're gonna get a lot of Drew Lock in McManus, Drew Lock in Philip Lindsay, Drew Lock, Jerry Jeudy, right? I think Hamler McManus is a very interesting build.
Yeah,
so
it is.
It's something that I'll be looking at. Butker, sure. I mean, whatever, man.
I don't know if you need him.
Yeah, I don't know if you need him either. Again, look, here's the only thing though is if somebody has the potential to score points on the Kansas City team, go ahead and fucking play them. It doesn't matter. They're probably going to score points. So
yeah,
you just got to find the guy that's going to score the most points. I just don't know if it's going to be Butker, but I mean, there is a good chance that he could be. So at 4K, I don't think he's terrible. But again, I think McManus at 3,600 is a little bit better. You're going to have an offense against a defense that gives up yards but does not give up touchdowns. So if you're constantly driving down to the 20, you're probably going to end up getting at least 3 points on a couple of those drives. So I think that bodes well for McManus at 3,600.
Yeah.
But at 4K for Butker, I mean, I just expect the Chiefs to score touchdowns.
All right, so Chiefs defense here is 6,400. You got Broncos defense 2,600. I would not even consider playing one lineup with Broncos defense. Chiefs defense, on the other hand, they're coming in. Their ownership is middle of the pack. I think it's right around 20%ish. They're actually catching quite a bit of love in the captain at around 5%. I'm assuming you're gonna like the Kansas City Chiefs defense here. What do you think?
Yes. I mean, look, man, I don't know what else to say there. Like, Drew Lock is not an NFL quarterback. He just isn't. And even then, I mean, he has questionable targets and options at best.
Yeah.
And I don't expect this game to be competitive. I fully anticipate the Chiefs are going to get sacks. I expect them to give up yards, and they're probably going to give up, 13 to 17 points, maybe 2 touchdowns, a field goal, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But I think they very much have the ability to take a fumble back for a touchdown, a pick six, something along those lines, right? I think this defense has the opportunity to score, so I love them. Now, the Broncos defense, all I can say is fuck off.
Absolutely. We've gotten a 2-touchdown game out of the Chiefs defense against Denver. They had 2 touchdowns in that game, and then we had a 1-touchdown game against New England. It looks like their ceiling is right around 20 to 24 points. Their floor is, in the -1 point area, but that was against Las Vegas. That was their only loss of the year where they gave up 40 points. I don't anticipate that happening. But look, even if they give up, they gave up 9 points against the Jets in Week 8. They only end up scoring 9 points. So you need turnovers, you need touchdowns, you need interceptions in order to really pay off that salary of $6,400. You have talented guys like Tyrann Mathieu. You've got some really good players on this team that can really, cause fumbles, cause turnovers, but unless you think that they can score 2 touchdowns, it might not be worth it at that salary because there's other wide receivers on this team that can actually easily outscore. Like Demarcus Robinson, you can easily get more points than the defense. Considering, look, Chiefs aren't that good of a defense. We're not talking about their defense. The only reason we're talking about their defense is because they're playing a terrible team. All right, so let's move on to Fade of the Night here. Hit it.
What's your name? Tony!
Fuck you, Tony. Fade of the Night, Ellie, Sammy Watkins. Break it down.
Yeah, man. Just not going to get too crazy. He's a little bit higher price than I expected him to be on a slate like this. I get it. There's a very good chance the Chiefs are going to beat the shit out of the fucking Broncos, but I don't know how that translates to Sammy Watkins' price being at 7K. So that's where I'm standing for now, and that's what I have for that. If ownership starts to show that there's somebody else that I need to fucking fade, then I'll do that. But right now, it's Sammy Watkins.
I just feel like I tend to agree with you here. I just feel like this is a situation where Sammy Watkins absolutely has his 2-touchdown game. I just have a feeling, and I could absolutely be wrong, but I feel like I'm gonna be above the field on Sammy Watkins in my opinion, as long as he sticks around that 20 or so percent. Overall on the flex, where's he at? Yeah, he's around 20% in the flex. If he sticks around that, I'm going to be probably in the 40% range because 7K, people just they're not going to be able to afford him. Like the way the roster construction is going to play out, it's going to be stars and scrubs. And if you get some Sammy Watkins in, even at captain, to me, that has some high upside because of the ownership. For me, Melvin Gordon here, it's a game script thing. I think he's going to get volume. If Philip Lindsay is out, I think he's even a better fade in my opinion. I know he's going to get a shitload of volume and he can potentially be the highest scoring player on this team. I just feel like Melvin Gordon is going to get game scripted out of this game. There's no reason that he's going to be getting handed the ball off in the third quarter when they're down by 17 points. They're going to be passing the ball. They're going to have Lindsay in, and even if Melvin Gordon is in, yes, he can get a couple receptions out of the backfield. I just don't think you're going to need him, especially at that price, and especially if Lindsay is out. His ownership is going to be inflated because there's no one else to fucking play on this team. Fade me Melvin Gordon, and obviously we've said this before, when we're talking about our fades, don't go fading both of these guys in all your lineups. We each have our own opinions. Ellie's building differently than I am. I'm building differently than he is. In this case, I like Sammy Watkins, and maybe Ellie likes Melvin Gordon. Don't just uncheck these guys because we told you to do so. Think about the reasons why we're telling you to do this, and don't just blindly do it. Melvin Gordon, to me, you got to pick one guy on this team that's just not going to do anything, and to me, it's Melvin Gordon. Do you have anything to add to that when we're talking about our fades of the night here?
No, man. Look, the shit can change. It can change immediately. I mean, if Sammy Watkins is truly going to stay under 20% owned, then he's for sure not going to be my fade of the night, right? I'll probably come slightly above the field simply because he does have that ability to take top off of a defense. Now, Melvin Gordon, again, I'm not sure that his ownership is going to change my exposure to him unless like something happens where Patrick Mahomes doesn't play and Tyreek Hill's out. I don't think that I would have any exposure to Melvin Gordon in the on the Broncos. But again, right, this is just things that we're using to kind of gauge how we're going to build, right? This is just initial looks at the slate. Sammy Watkins for me was the price a little bit too high, and I think my money can be allocated a little bit better, right? I can throw $1,800 on KJ Hamler, and then maybe potentially be able to jam in Kelsey, Mahomes, and Hill, right?
Yeah.
I think that has much higher upside despite the negative correlation.
Yeah.
So again, that's kind of where my thought process is here. But this is going to change each time I press the generate lineup button, and each time we get some injury news or line movement or whatever, right? So those are things we just pay attention to. This is all tentative. I mean, shit, my lineups won't be finalized until about 10 minutes before lock. So
yeah,
we'll be fucking building all day.
Exactly. All right, we're moving on to Crown Their Ass segment where we choose our favorite option at captain on DraftKings. Hit it, Denny Green.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
So, Ellie, you're going Chiefs defense. Tell me about that.
Yeah, man. Look, fuck it. Why not, right? I really just don't fucking think that the Denver offense can be able to bring anything. And I think again, not let's beat that dead horse, but KJ Hamler is a perfect person to run it back with if I'm going to be doing 5-1 stacks, right? Or even 4-2 with the Chiefs defense and captain, and then running McManus and KJ Hamler. I'm not going to be sacrificing my defensive points, but I'm still going to be capturing what I think is going to be the highest volume or best point per dollar fantasy output on the other side, so that I can save money and jam in Mahomes, jam in Kelsey to as many lineups as I can, and jam in Hill. I honestly think that we are looking at at least one touchdown tomorrow night from the Kansas City defense and special teams. I can see two easy, but one is pretty spectacular, so I'd be okay with that. And I honestly think it's going to happen. I think we're going to see at least 5 sacks. I think we're going to see at least 3 takeaways. You're going to have a fumble and probably 2 picks. So that's why I'm doing that, because even if you give up 30 points at that point, if you have 5 sacks, 3 takeaways, and a touchdown, that's 14 points that you got from the defense and captain. All of a sudden, that's 21, right? And I saved a shitload of money by not having Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, or Travis Kelce up there. So by doing that, I can capture the most. You're trying to build an optimal lineup based on correlation and the potential outcomes that you're going to be able to receive. So I just think it gives you a lot of upside, and you can capture a lot of the volume that you're going to get on the offensive side of the ball while still getting those points that you're not going to normally see on a slate like this.
All right, for me, it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire here. I just love his ownership. You have a running back who's going to get a lot of volume. His ownership is under 10% in the captain. I feel like he has a high upside, especially considering this team is favored by 13 points. We're getting towards the end of the season. There's no reason for them to continue to risk injury on the rest of this team. I feel like handing the ball off to CEH in the 3rd and 4th quarter, dumping it off to him every once in a while, and possibly getting some more touchdowns this week for him. I just like him. It's just a gut feeling. Also considering in ownership, this could be the chance, this could be the game where he goes off. To me, if he was above 10%, I probably would fade him. But the ownership sticks out to me, and the price being sort of middle-ranged around 8,400 allows you to really get some pretty decent plays in the flex. To me, CEH is my guy. I'm probably going to have 70% in the captain of him, depending on how ownership turns out. That's just the way I like it. All right, so let's move over to... Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Well, hold on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to cut you off. Look, I'm going to be honest, guys. Not to brown nose or anything, but CEH was actually kind of, I was leaning towards him for captain of the night, right? The only reason I didn't go with him is just because of his ownership projections. But, yeah, I mean, 8,400, I think he's still going to give you a pretty decent amount of flexibility. I really do like him at that play. And tomorrow night, these will probably be my only two captains.
Yeah.
Just to make it clear. I will have CEH at captain. I will have the Chiefs defense at captain. And I'm not sure I'll have much of anything else.
And usually when we have our captain picks here, a lot doesn't change. Like, we have the ownership well enough in advance where
Right.
it's not going to shift too much. And usually we're going to put our money where our mouths are when it comes to the captains. If you jump in our Discord, follow us on Twitter, you're going to see our exposures. We post them usually every single showdown. We're not fucking around when we say our crown their ass segment at captain. Now, our fades sometimes shift slightly, but we're pretty dead on with our captains. We usually put our money where our mouths are. All right, so speaking of that, let's build a lineup. How do you want to handle this, Ellie? Who do you want to throw in first? Let's do 2 lineups together.
Let's build with Clyde first.
Okay, so Clyde at captain. That leaves us with about 7,400 for the rest.
Let's put in Mahomes and Kelsey, like, because I'm going to be playing both of them. At Mahomes at the very minimum, right? And I kind of want to see what that gives us. Now from there, you cool with Hamler?
Yeah, I'm absolutely cool with him. This is why I love doing this show, because in real time we're breaking this down for ourselves as well. Not only are we hopefully giving you guys some value here, but for us, Hamler just popped out while we were doing this show, which I love. Having him in there. Now, who do we throw in as the other Kansas City guy? Do you want to do Lev Bell?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so that leaves us with 9,200. That leaves us. This is a Drew Lock situation. I think if we were to put Drew Lock in here, this is going to be a highly duped lineup, in my opinion, just because it's 0 salary remaining. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If you're in a 100,000 plus tournament entry wise, this will be in there quite a bit. So we're not going to do this. Let's look at who pops out to you here. We're gonna leave probably end up leaving 3 or 4,000. Or do we? Do we need Le'Veon Bell? Maybe we don't need Le'Veon Bell. Maybe we want to go with Demarcus Robinson here. What do you think?
Demarcus Robinson. Yeah, let's throw him in. Let's see what it gives us.
I just like him this week. I watched that game again today. He just popped out to me as a guy that can really have a pretty decent game this week. So that leaves us with 6,800.
If you're going to do that, look, I mean, if this is what we're running, you know exactly what I'm going to tell you to do here. Go ahead and put in that defense.
Damn.
Like I don't think that's a bad lineup at all.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, right? We're looking for the cheapest fucking guy that we can get on Denver that's going to score some decent points.
Yeah.
And normally that would be the kicker. And
yeah,
in this particular case, I don't think so. I think KJ Hamler is the guy to go.
Yeah.
And I like that build a lot, actually.
Yeah, I like this too. So let's do a little remix on this. Let's pull Kelsey, let's pull Robinson, and let's put Tyreek, and then let's put Lev Bell. So that's another good lineup there too.
And take out the defense. What does that give us?
7,800. So look, you could absolutely go Jerry Jeudy. You could go Melvin.
Sammy.
Oh, jeez, dude, look at this shit, dude. This is almost too perfect. This might actually be highly duped as well. But you have
the only reason
0 on the board here.
Exactly. That's a great lineup, but my only concern is the 0 on the board right there with the salary remaining.
Yeah.
So in this particular case, this is where I would say fuck my fade of the night.
Yeah.
Throw him in for
throw Sammy in.
Gordon, yeah.
So you got Hamler's our only guy on these. But hey, man, you just need a random touchdown, from Hamler and like 6 receptions, and that's all you need here. If it's a 42 to 17 game, this could totally work out.
What's his projected ownership? Because
Hamler
dude, at 1,800, I just feel like like, I honestly kind of feel like he's a free square for building because I don't want to fucking play anybody on the Broncos. And I honestly thought I was going to have to just play a shitload of McManus or Drew Lock, right?
Yeah.
Like, I thought that's where I was at.
He's less
Now,
than
Phillip Lindsay
15% owned. Less than 15% owned.
All right. Well, to everybody watching this, I'm going to lose all my money tomorrow night.
I'm highly considering playing Hamler in like a shitload of lineups. You know what I mean? I'm going to go back and look at his previous games and see and really dig into it. But just popping out to me, I mean, that median projection there is pretty good at 1.8K. It's up there with where Le'Veon Bell's projection is as well. So something to keep an eye on. All right, let's do it. Let's do another lineup with Chiefs defense. Let's see how that works out. So Chiefs defense at captain is going to allow for a little bit more extra in the flex. Let's talk about this for a second. Can we fade Mahomes in this lineup? We talked about it.
Sure.
Let's fade him. Let's fade him in this lineup.
This is absolutely. I mean, this would be the case to fade him in there, right? Because we want the running game.
So Tyreek. Well, let's see if we can get Tyreek and Kelsey.
Okay, and then let's go Clyde,
and Lev.
Let's go Lev, and let's go Hamler.
Although we could get Jerry Jeudy, you could get Tim Patrick. You might not need Hamler. Like to me,
Right, I mean,
this situation calls for a Jerry Jeudy simply because he's got that ceiling. He can get that 60-yard touchdown and get 4 or 5 receptions. He's got that ceiling. But there's also a situation where you do Tim Patrick here. I think Tim Patrick has a lower ceiling, but he's going to get you a higher floor. It just depends on where you want to go. To me, I would rather do this. Now, now we can actually do something else here. If we wanted to maybe even this out a little bit, you pull Lev Bell. You can't get Lindsey. Fuck. Actually, you can. Phillip Lindsay and Tim Patrick. Oh, that's Hardman. Wrong guy. Tim Patrick. That's actually a pretty good lineup there. Captain, you got Hill, Kelsey, CEH, and then you run it back with Phillip Lindsay and Tim Patrick. Both pretty low owned. You're not going to be worried about dupes for a lineup like this at all, especially considering you don't have either quarterback. To me, this is a pretty decent lineup. I know, obviously, we're building for a tournament here. We're building for a large field tournament. This isn't your fucking cash play. This isn't a 50-50. This isn't a single entry. But to me, this could win you a tournament absolutely because no one's playing Lindsey and Patrick as their only two players, and no one's fading Mahomes. What do you think about this lineup, dude?
Yeah, man, I like it a lot, and I honestly think Tim Patrick is a great play, especially at his usage rate. I mean, you're looking at he has a season average of 16% of the team's targets, and over the past 2 weeks he had 26% and 25%. So I absolutely think he is the upside and the volume to get there. 25% against the fucking Saints. What is that, one target? Anyways, I digress. But no, I love that lineup, man. And again, I think even for something like this too, you can swap out Jerry Jeudy and throw in McManus, right?
Yeah. Well, what I did was I put in KJ Hamler instead,
right.
And then you can do McManus. Honestly, I think I like doing both wide receivers here, like Jeudy and Hamler, or Jeudy and can we get Patrick instead? Let's see. No, we can't. But so Jeudy and Hamler, you can do that.
Well, hold on. Can you do Pat Mahomes over Tyreek Hill with the salary you have remaining?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, there you go.
Bro, so even bro, that's a fucking sick ass lineup.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah,
Hamler
I like that.
And Jeudy, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I hate to say it, but fucking 15% $1,800 KJ Hamler might be one of the keys to the slate.
Yeah,
but I'm right there with you, right? This isn't a slate you want to go and leave $5,000, $6,000 on the table. The reason why we're playing some of these cheap guys is so that we can play Travis Kelce, Mahomes, and Tyreek Hill in the same lineup.
Yeah.
So this is great, right? I like KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy, and we're only living 600. What is it? 600, 800?
600.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, it's 800. Yeah.
Yeah, we're leaving a little bit of salary on the table, and again, this isn't going to be a very highly duplicated. I don't think this will be duplicated at all.
No.
This might be this might actually be a unique lineup, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to have KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy without a quarterback on the same team, right? No. You're trying to guess at two individual positions, and honestly, you're not spending that much money, so I think it's very, very much kind of a safe play. Yeah. And then with Clyde, Kelsey, and then whatever you decide to do on the Chiefs side of the ball, it's fine. Yeah. Now, granted, let's keep in mind this is dependent upon the Chiefs defense hitting that 4 or 5 sack mark, 2 or 3 takeaways, and a touchdown. Yeah. But again, I totally think that's capable or possible. So I love this lineup because of that.
Yep, I love it, dude. I love it. All right, so Ellie, what are some final thoughts here on this slate, roster construction wise, just building in general? Any tips for people out there watching? What are your thoughts when it comes to actually how you're going to build these lineups tomorrow? What's going to be your process?
I think I'm going to start with 5-1s really, and I'm going to mandate that it's a 5-1 Chiefs stack, and I'm going to just see where it falls from there. I think KJ Hamler is my guy. Yeah. And I'm going to have a shitload of them. So I think that's going to give me, just based on the initial lineups we built here, I think it gave us the flexibility to really be able to do whatever we want. So I think he's our guy.
I really like the Broncos wide receivers. I really like actually having 2 of them in the same lineup because, like we keep saying, I'm actually going to have a couple lineups built around garbage time. I'm going to have fourth quarter random dump off passes here and there. I just feel like there's a lot of opportunity for garbage time in this game. I know it's hard to project. I know it's hard to even predict it. But Hamler, Jeudy, even Noah Fant can get those garbage time receptions. And I would rather have those guys in, and as well as Phillip Lindsay. I'd rather have those guys in than Drew Lock, because Drew Lock is just going to be in every one of those lineups. And he's going to be over-owned in my opinion. So think about that. Keep an eye on ownership. Keep an eye on injury news. And feel free to join the Discord. Please like the video. We really appreciate it. We're going to come out with another Monday Night Football, our San Francisco versus Bills game, as well as a couple of quick slants for those earlier games. Anyways, my name is Tyson Smith, joined by Ellie Hernandez. We will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Thanks a lot, guys.